Have you ever thought about what life was like in the Aztec Empire? Not just the impressive temples or the fierce warriors, but the people themselves, their beliefs, and how their society worked. The Aztecs built one of the most powerful civilizations in ancient America, full of fascinating stories about gods, rituals, and everyday life. From their complex religion to their unique social system, there's so much to learn. So today, let's explore everything you need to know about the Aztec Empire, their beliefs, their gods, and how their society was structured. You'll see it was a world both very different and surprisingly connected to our own. 10. The rise and location of the Aztec Empire. The Aztec Empire existed in what is now central Mexico from the 1300s until the early 1500s, right before the Spanish arrived. The people we call Aztecs actually called themselves Mexica, and their capital city was Tenochtitlan. This city was built on an island in Lake Texcoco, which made it unique because it was surrounded by water and connected by canals and bridges. Imagine a city with waterways instead of streets. It was so advanced that some people compare it to Venice. Tenochtitlan grew quickly and became one of the largest cities in the world during its time. The empire itself expanded by forming alliances and conquering nearby groups, eventually controlling millions of people across a wide area. The Aztecs stayed strong for over 200 years until the Spanish conquistadors arrived and changed everything. 9. The structure of Aztec society. Aztec society was organized like a pyramid, but not the stone kind, a social pyramid. At the very top was the emperor, known as the Tlatoani, who ruled the entire empire. Below him were the noble families who owned land and held important government positions. Then came the priests, who were very powerful because they controlled religious ceremonies and education. The warrior class was next, and they were respected for protecting the empire and expanding its borders. Most of the population were commoners, farmers, artisans, and merchants who worked hard to produce food and goods. At the bottom were slaves, often prisoners of war or people who couldn't pay their debts. Despite this strict hierarchy, Aztec society allowed for some social mobility, especially for warriors who proved themselves in battle or people who succeeded in trade or education. 8. Religion was part of everything. For the Aztecs, religion wasn't something you just did on holidays. It was part of everyday life. They believed the world was full of gods who controlled everything from the sun and rain to fertility and war. Every day, Aztec people prayed, made offerings, and performed small rituals to honor these gods and keep them happy. Religion shaped how they saw the world and their place in it. They believed the gods needed to be kept satisfied to keep the world in balance. Without proper worship, disaster could strike, such as famine or war. So religion was closely tied to politics, farming, and even warfare. 7. Meet the Aztec gods. The Aztecs had a huge number of gods, each with their own role and personality. The most important was Huitzilopochtli, the god of the sun and war. Another key god was Tlaloc, the rain god, who controlled storms and water, critical for growing crops. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, was the god of wind, learning, and creativity. 6. Why human sacrifice was central. One of the most famous and shocking aspects of Aztec culture was their practice of human sacrifice. It sounds brutal today, but for the Aztecs, it was a deeply sacred act. Sacrifices were usually prisoners of war or slaves, offered during big religious festivals. The most important sacrifices were done at the top of temples, where priests performed ceremonies. While this sounds harsh to us, in Aztec belief, These sacrifices were necessary to prevent chaos and disaster. It was a way to maintain balance between humans and gods. 5. Education and daily life. Education was highly valued in the Aztec Empire. Unlike many ancient societies, most children attended school. Boys were taught about history, religion, warfare, and leadership, while girls learned skills for managing households, cooking, and weaving. Schools were run by the state, and education helped keep Aztec culture and traditions strong. Daily life for most Aztecs was busy. Farmers used advanced techniques like chinampas, floating gardens built on lakes, to grow food such as corn, beans, and squash. Craftspeople made tools, clothing, and pottery, while merchants traded goods within and beyond the empire. Families worked together, and community events were common, mixing work with celebrations. 4. The Aztec calendar and astronomy. The Aztecs were skilled astronomers. They created 2 calendar systems that worked together. One was a solar calendar of 365 days, used to track farming seasons and the solar year. The other was a sacred calendar of 260 days, which was used for religious events and rituals. They believed that time was cyclical, meaning events repeated in cycles, which influenced when ceremonies should happen. Aztec priests carefully observed the stars and planets to predict important events, like eclipses or seasonal changes. This knowledge was essential for planning festivals and sacrifices, as well as guiding rulers in decision-making. The calendars showed how connected the Aztecs were to nature and the cosmos. 3. The importance of war and warriors. War was a major part of Aztec life. The empire grew by conquering neighboring territories, and warriors were highly respected. Young men trained to become skilled fighters, learning how to use weapons like the macuahuitl, a wooden sword with sharp obsidian blades. Warriors could gain higher social status and even become nobles by capturing prisoners in battle who were often used for sacrifices. But war wasn't only about fighting, it was also about politics and control. Second, markets and trade. Markets were the heart of Aztec cities and towns. The largest market was in Tenochtitlan, where thousands gathered to buy and sell goods every day. Markets were lively places full of food, textiles, pottery, jewelry, and even slaves. Traders, called Pochteka, traveled long distances to bring rare items like cacao, feathers, and precious stones. These traders were important because they connected the empire with faraway regions and helped spread information. The markets were not just for trading goods, but also served as social hubs where people met, exchanged news, and celebrated festivals. Trade helped the Aztecs maintain wealth and power by keeping goods flowing across their empire. 1. The fall of the Aztec Empire. Despite its strength, the Aztec Empire came to a sudden end in the early 1500s. In 1519, Spanish conquistadors led by Hernán Cortés arrived with soldiers, horses, and guns. The Aztecs were amazed and confused by these newcomers, and their ruler, Montezuma II, initially welcomed Cortés. However, conflict soon broke out. The Spanish formed alliances with enemies of the Aztecs and used their advanced weapons to defeat the empire's armies. Smallpox, a European disease, also spread quickly and killed many Aztecs who had no immunity. After a long siege, the Spanish captured Tenochtitlan in 1521, destroying the city and ending the Aztec Empire. Though the empire fell, its culture, stories, and influence still survive today. The Aztec Empire was a powerful civilization with a rich and complex culture. From their unique social structure to their deep religious beliefs and their impressive achievements in farming, astronomy, and trade, the Aztecs created a world that still fascinates us. Their gods, rituals, and daily lives show a people who were connected to their environment and the cosmos in ways that shaped everything they did. Understanding the Aztecs helps us see how ancient societies worked and how they influence us even now. If you enjoyed learning about the Aztec Empire, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with friends who love history, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories from the past. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.